You're still here. I noticed you weren't in any hurry to leave when the others cleared out. That's fine. Come in. Close the door behind you. There's no meeting. No business tonight. Just sit down. That chair there, yeah. The leather one by the window. You want a drink? No. That's smart. Never developed a taste for it myself until I was past 30. Kept my head clear when everyone else was getting sloppy. But tonight I'm having one. Just one. The good stuff. This bottle's older than you are, probably. Smooth. Doesn't burn going down like the cheap whiskey we used to steal off the back of trucks when I was your age. Listen to that rain. Started about an hour ago. Should last most of the night, the way those clouds looked coming in from the east. I like the rain. Always have. Washes the city clean at least for a few hours. Makes everything look new under the streetlights. You can see it from up here, 42 floors up. All those lights stretching out to the horizon. Millions of people down there, living their lives, most of them not even knowing we exist up here. The music's Miles Davis. Kind of blue. You know it? No, probably not. It's from before your time. Before mine too, actually, but I discovered it later. A woman I knew, she played it all the time. Said it was the only music that made sense after midnight. She was right about that. It's got this quality, you know? Melancholy but not sad. Reflective. That's the word. Reflective. I've been doing a lot of that lately. Reflecting. You get to a certain age and you start looking back more than you look forward. Not because you want to, necessarily. Just happens. The past starts feeling more real than the future. More solid. The future's just possibilities. The past, that's already written. Can't change it. Can't take it back. Just got to live with it. You ever wonder why I asked you to stay tonight? No particular reason. Just felt like talking. And you got something. I noticed it when you started working here. You listen. Most people don't really listen. They're just waiting for their turn to talk, or they're thinking about something else, or they're trying to figure out what you want to hear. But you actually listen. That's rare. Valuable. So I thought maybe I'd talk and you could listen. No business. No orders. No plans. Just an old man talking to someone who'll actually hear what he's saying. You don't mind that, do you? Good. Get comfortable then. We might be here a while. The night's still young and I'm not tired yet. Haven't been sleeping well lately anyway. Too much on my mind. The city looks different from up here at night, doesn't it? Like a circuit board. All those lights connected in patterns. Roads like wires. People like electricity moving through the system. I used to walk those streets down there. Every single one of them, practically. Started when I was maybe 8, 9 years old. Running errands for guys who ran errands for guys who mattered. That's how it works, you know. Chain of command. Everyone's got someone above them. Even me back then. Especially me. The neighborhood I grew up in doesn't look like this. No high-rises. No clean streets. Just row houses pressed together like teeth, alleys that smelled like garbage, and worse, corner stores with bars on the windows. It was gray mostly. Gray concrete, gray sky, gray faces on people who'd given up on hoping for something better. My old man, he was one of those gray faces. Worked in a factory until the factory closed. Then he worked at a warehouse until the warehouse closed. Then he just worked at getting drunk. My mother, she tried. I'll give her that. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Cleaning office buildings at night, working a register at a grocery store during the day, taking in sewing when she could. I remember her hands. Always moving. Always working. Rough hands. red and cracked from the chemicals she used to clean those office buildings. She died when I was 14. Just wore out, I think. Body gave up. Couldn't keep going anymore. I don't tell people about her much. Not the kind of thing that comes up in this line of work. But I think about her sometimes, especially on nights like this. Wonder what she'd think of all this. This office. This view. The life I built. She wanted me to go to school, get a regular job, live clean. I tried for her sake. Lasted about 6 months after she died before I realized it wasn't going to work. The world doesn't let people like us live clean. It wants us dirty, keeps us there, makes sure we know our place. So I stopped trying to live clean. Started embracing the dirt. And you know what? Turned out I was good at it. The dirt, I mean. The hustle. The angles. Seeing opportunities where other people just saw obstacles. I was smart, see. Not school smart. Street smart. Could read people. Could see what they wanted, what they feared, what they'd do if pushed a certain way. That's worth more than any diploma. That's the real education. Pour yourself some water at least. There's bottles in the cabinet behind you. The rain's making me thirsty just listening to it. There you go. The rain's got its own rhythm tonight. Steady. Persistent. Like it's trying to tell us something. Or maybe wash something away. This city's got a lot that needs washing away. Blood and lies and broken promises. We contribute our share to that, don't we? All of us in this business. We tell ourselves stories about honor and loyalty, about codes and rules. But at the end of the day, we're just people trying to survive in a world that doesn't care if we do or not. I was 12 when I first really understood that. 12 years old. There was this kid in the neighborhood, Tommy Breslin. Good kid. Played baseball, made decent grades, never caused trouble. His dad owed money to some guys who didn't like waiting for their money. They wanted to send a message. So they hurt Tommy. Hurt him bad. Put him in the hospital for 2 months. And you know what happened to the guys who did it? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Because Tommy's dad couldn't pay and couldn't fight back and didn't matter. That's when I understood. The world's divided into two kinds of people. People who get hurt and people who do the hurting. People who get pushed around and people who do the pushing. I decided right then which side I wanted to be on. Not the hurting side exactly. Just the side that doesn't get hurt. The side that has enough power that people think twice before coming after you. That's all I ever wanted really. Just enough power to be safe. Funny how that works out, isn't it? You start trying to get enough power to be safe, and before you know it, you've got more power than you ever imagined. And you're still not safe. Not really. Because now you've got enemies you didn't have before. Now you've got people gunning for you, trying to take what you built, wanting to knock you down so they can climb up. It never ends. The game never stops. You just keep playing because stopping means losing, and losing means ending up like Tommy Breslin's dad. Powerless. Vulnerable. Pray. The jazz is getting quieter. Or maybe I'm just getting used to it. It blends into the rain after a while, doesn't it? Hard to tell where one stops and the other begins. Davis knew what he was doing with this album. Every note exactly where it needs to be. Nothing wasted. Nothing extra. That's how you should live, you know. Economical. Precise. Don't waste energy on things that don't matter. Don't make moves that don't advance your position. Every action should have a purpose. I learned that from a man named Leo Castelli. He's dead now. Been dead 15 years. But he was the first person who saw potential in me. I was 17, running small-time cons, boosting cars, moving stolen goods. Nickel and dime stuff. Making enough to eat, enough for a place to sleep. Thought I was doing pretty well. Then Leo saw me work and laughed. Actually laughed at me. Said I was thinking too small. Said I had talent but no vision. No ambition. He took me under his wing. Taught me how the real game worked. Not the street-level scrambling, but the organization. The structure. The way power actually flows in this city. He showed me that the guys I thought were at the top weren't even close. They were middle management at best. The real power was quieter. More refined. Wore better suits and lived in better neighborhoods and never got their hands dirty. They had people for that. Had systems. Had reach. Leo taught me to think in systems. To see the whole board, not just the next move. To understand that patience was worth more than aggression, that reputation was worth more than fear, that reliability was worth more than any single score. He taught me about leverage, about knowing what people needed and positioning yourself to be the one who could provide it, about making yourself indispensable before making yourself rich. I was with Leo for 8 years. Started as basically an errand boy, worked my way up to running crews, then running territories, then sitting in on the meetings where decisions got made. He groomed me, I suppose. Saw something in me that reminded him of himself when he was young. Or maybe he just needed someone he could trust, someone who wasn't already corrupted by the old ways of doing things. Someone who could think differently. The night he died, we were sitting in a restaurant. Nice place. White tablecloths. Wine that cost more than most people made in a week. He was telling me about a problem we had. Some guys moving in on our waterfront operations. Albanians. Didn't respect the arrangements that had been in place for years. Thought they could just take what they wanted because they were willing to be more violent than everyone else. Leo was explaining how we'd handle it. Diplomatic at first. Then economic pressure. Then, if necessary, more direct action. He ordered tiramisu. I remember that detail for some reason. He loved tiramisu. Said it reminded him of his grandmother. Took one bite and just stopped. Put his fork down. Looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Confused. Maybe scared. Then he fell forward onto the table. Heart attack. Massive. He was dead before the ambulance arrived. Just like that. Middle of explaining a strategy, middle of eating dessert, middle of his life. Gone. I think about that a lot. How fast it can end. How all the power and planning and careful maneuvering doesn't mean anything when your heart decides it's done. We think we're in control. We build our organizations and our networks and our safety nets. But we're not in control. Not really. We're just pretending. Making moves on a board we don't even fully understand, playing a game we can't actually win because the only way it ends is the way it ended for Leo. Face down in tiramisu or however it happens to catch up with you. The rain's picking up. Hear that? Harder now. Drumming on the window. The city's getting a real washing tonight. Tomorrow morning it'll look fresh. Clean. All the dirt pushed into the gutters and storm drains, at least temporarily. Then by afternoon the sun will come out and dry everything off and the dirt will be back like it never left. Because that's what happens. The dirt always comes back. You can wash it away but you can't get rid of it. It's part of the landscape. Part of the foundation. After Leo died, there was a question about what would happen to his operations. He had no family. No obvious successor. Just a collection of guys who worked for him, all of them thinking they might be the one to step up. Some of them had been with him longer than me. Some of them were older, more experienced in certain areas. But I had something they didn't have. I had Leo's trust, documented in ways that mattered. And I had relationships with the people who mattered. The suppliers. The buyers. The politicians and cops and union bosses who made the whole thing work. So I stepped up, took over, expected resistance but prepared for it. Made it clear that I wasn't trying to change everything Leo built. I was trying to preserve it. Honor his memory by keeping the organization strong and stable. Most people went along with it. A few didn't. They're not around anymore. Not because I had them killed mostly. Just because they found themselves on the outside of the structure. No connections. No income. No relevance. They drifted away or got absorbed by other organizations or ended up in prison or dead through their own poor decisions. That's the thing people don't understand about this life. It's not as violent as the movies make it look. Most of the time it's just business. You have meetings. You make deals. You solve problems. The violence is always there in the background, the potential for it. But actually using it? That's expensive. It's messy. It creates more problems than it solves, usually. Better to make people understand through other means that cooperation is in their best interest. Better to build systems where everyone has a reason to keep things stable. I've been running things for 23 years now. Started when I was 34. That makes me 57. Old for this game. Most guys don't last this long. They get killed or arrested or they burn out. But I've lasted because I understood what Leo taught me. Stay quiet. Stay smart. Don't be the flashy guy everyone's talking about. Be the guy in the background making things work. The guy people need but don't particularly notice. That's sustainability. That's survival. You're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this. Fair question. I'm wondering that myself a little bit. Maybe it's because I'm tired. Not physically tired. Tired of carrying it all in my head. All the history. All the decisions. All the faces of people who aren't around anymore. When you're young, you think you're going to remember everything. Every detail. Every moment. But you don't. Things blur together. You forget names and dates in which year something happened. But the feelings stay. The weight stays. The accumulation of all of it, pressing down. Leo used to say that everyone needs a confessor. Someone they can tell the truth to. He said even guys like us, especially guys like us, we need that. Someone who'll listen without judgment, without agenda. Just listen and let us get it out, whatever it is that's eating at us. He said that's what priests used to be for, back when people still believed in that. Now we don't have priests. We just have each other. And mostly we don't even have that because trust is so hard in this world. But you're young enough that you don't know all the reasons not to trust yet. You haven't been betrayed enough times to build up those walls. And you listen. Really listen. So maybe that's why I'm talking. Maybe you're my priest tonight. My confessor. And all this is my confession. Not about sins exactly. I don't believe in that framework anymore. Just about weight. About carrying things for too long. About needing to set them down for a minute, even if I'll have to pick them back up in the morning. The music changed. Different track. Still Davis. Still that same melancholy mood. The trumpet sounds like it's asking questions. Not expecting answers. Just posing the questions to the night and letting them hang there. That's appropriate. I've got plenty of questions. Not many answers. Used to think I'd figure it all out eventually. Used to think there was some wisdom that came with age, some clarity. But I'm 57 and I understand less now than I did at 25. Or maybe I just understand different things. Darker things. More complicated things. When I was young, everything seemed clear. Right and wrong were obvious. The world made sense, or at least I thought it did. The people who hurt my mother were bad. The people who hurt Tommy Breslin were bad. I was going to be different. I was going to be strong enough to protect people. Strong enough to make sure the bad guys couldn't just do whatever they wanted. That's what I told myself anyway. That's how I justified it. But then you start making compromises. Small ones at first. You hurt someone who probably deserved it. You let something bad happen because stopping it would cost too much. You make a deal with someone you don't respect because the deal benefits you. Each compromise is small, reasonable, necessary. But they add up. They accumulate. And one day you look at yourself and realize you've become something you wouldn't have recognized when you started. Something you might have hated. I'm not saying I hate myself. That's not what this is. I'm just saying I'm aware. I'm conscious of what I've become. The choices I've made. The things I've done and the things I've allowed to be done. There's blood on my hands, metaphorically speaking. Lots of it. More than I could wash off even if I tried. And I'm not trying. I'm just acknowledging it. Facing it. On a night like this, with the rain and the music and no distractions, you face things. Pour me another drink, would you? The bottle's right there. Just a finger. That's good. Thanks. Smooth, isn't it? Doesn't burn. Just warms. That's quality. That's craftsmanship. Someone took time with this. Aged it properly. Blended it right. Cared about the result. You don't see that as much anymore. Everyone's in a hurry. Everything's quick and cheap and disposable. No one builds anything to last. No one takes pride in their work. It's all just profit margins and quarterly returns and what can you do for me right now? That's not how Leo operated. That's not how I operate. We build things to last. We think long term. We create systems that work year after year, decade after decade. We pay attention to detail. We honor our agreements. We treat people fairly within the context of this world. That matters to me. It always has. Even when I've had to do things that weren't fair, I've tried to maintain standards. Tried to operate with some kind of code. What's that code? That's a good question. Hard to articulate. It's not written down anywhere. It's just understood. You keep your word when you give it. You don't betray people who trust you. You don't involve civilians if you can avoid it. You don't prey on the weak, at least not more than necessary. You maintain structure. You respect hierarchy. You solve problems before they become disasters. You pay your debts. You remember favors. You punish disloyalty but reward loyalty. You think before you act. You consider consequences. You play the long game. Does everyone follow this code? No, of course not. But the successful ones do. The ones who last. The ones who build something sustainable. The cowboys, the hotheads, the guys who think violence solves everything, they burn bright and burn out fast. They make noise and headlines and then they're gone. Dead or in prison or hiding somewhere trying to stay alive. That's not success. That's just chaos wearing a tough guy mask. I've survived by being boring. That probably sounds strange. But it's true. I'm boring. I don't do flashy. I don't draw attention. I don't make dramatic moves. I just do the work. Day after day. Year after year. Making small decisions that add up to stability. Maintaining relationships. Solving problems quietly. Keeping things running. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. But it works. And working is all that matters. Results. Sustainability. Still being here when others aren't. The rain's settling into a steady rhythm now. Not as hard as it was a few minutes ago. Just persistent. Consistent. That's what you want to be in this life. Persistent. Consistent. Not the hardest worker or the smartest player or the most ruthless operator. Just the one who keeps showing up, keeps doing the work, keeps maintaining the structure. Over time, that persistence matters more than any flash of brilliance or burst of aggression. I knew a guy once, Sal Marino. Brilliant mind. Could see angles no one else saw. Could put together deals that seemed impossible. Made more money in 5 years than most guys make in a lifetime. Everyone thought he was going to run everything eventually. He had the talent, had the drive, had the connections, but he didn't have patience, didn't have discipline, got greedy, started taking risks he didn't need to take, started trusting people he shouldn't have trusted, started believing his own reputation. 5 years of brilliance, then one stupid decision and he was done. Indicted on federal charges. Cooperated with the feds to reduce his sentence. Went into witness protection. His reputation, everything he built, gone like smoke. I think about Sal sometimes when I'm tempted to do something clever, something brilliant, something that would make people talk about how smart I am. And then I remember that being talked about is dangerous. Being remembered is dangerous. Better to be the guy no one quite remembers. The guy who was there but didn't stand out. The guy who kept things running without making it about himself. That's survival. That's the long game. You're probably tired. Your eyes look heavy. That's okay. You can close them if you want. I'll keep talking. Or maybe I'll stop soon. Haven't decided yet. The night's still here. The rain's still falling. The music's still playing. We're suspended in this moment, you and me. This quiet space between the day that ended and the day that's coming. This is the time when truth feels possible. When the walls come down a little. When you can say things you wouldn't say in daylight. I don't have many people I can talk to like this. Most conversations are about business. Problems that need solving. Opportunities that need evaluating. Risks that need managing. It's all strategic. All calculated. Even when I'm talking to people I've known for decades, there's always that layer of calculation. What does this person want? What are they not telling me? How does this conversation benefit or threaten my position? It's exhausting, but necessary. That's how you stay alive in this world. But tonight, with you, there's no calculation. You're too junior to be a threat. Too new to have agenda. You're just listening because I asked you to listen. There's something pure about that. Something uncomplicated. I appreciate it. More than you probably understand. This might be the most honest conversation I've had in years. Isn't that strange? The most honest I can be is with someone who barely knows me. Someone who has no context for these confessions. Someone who can't use any of this against me because you don't have the power or the connections yet. Yet. That's the key word. You don't have power yet. But you will. You've got the qualities. I can see them. The patience, the observation, the intelligence, the ability to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. Those are the qualities that matter. Those are what separate people who last from people who don't. You could go far in this organization if you want to, if you make the right choices, if you learn from people like me and people who came before me. If you avoid the mistakes that took down guys like Sal Marino. But here's what I want you to understand. And I mean really understand, not just here. This life, it costs something. It costs a lot. You gain power. You gain money. You gain security, or at least the illusion of it. But you lose things too. You lose the ability to trust easily. You lose innocent relationships. You lose the comfort of believing the world is fair or just or makes sense. You lose parts of yourself. Parts you didn't even know were important until they're gone. I don't have a family. Never married. Never had kids. That wasn't an accident. It was a choice. I saw what happened to guys who tried to balance this life with a family. Either the family suffered, growing up afraid or corrupted by proximity to this world, or the guy suffered, always worried about threats to the people he loved, making decisions based on fear rather than strategy. So I chose not to have that vulnerability. I chose to be alone. And I've been alone for 30-something years now. Professionally successful. Personally empty. Was it worth it? I don't know. How do you measure something like that? I'm alive. I'm powerful. I'm financially secure. I've built something that will probably outlast me. But I sleep alone. I eat alone. I watch the city from 42 floors up, alone. When I die, there won't be many people who genuinely mourn. There'll be people at the funeral, sure. Lots of them. Paying respects. Maintaining appearances. But mourning? Actually grieving the loss of me as a person? I doubt it. I'll be mourned as a position, not as a human being. That's the trade-off. That's what you're signing up for if you stay in this world. You become a role. A function. A name that means power or threat or opportunity. But you stop being a person. At least to most people. You become something else. Something harder and colder and more calculating. Something necessary but not particularly human. I'm not trying to scare you away. If that's what you want to do, you should leave. This organization will be fine without you. There's always someone else willing to step into any role. That's one thing I've learned. No one's irreplaceable. Not really. We like to think we are. We build up our reputations and our legends and convince ourselves that everything would fall apart without us. But it wouldn't. Someone else would step in. The organization would adapt. Life would go on. Even me. When I die or retire or get taken down, someone will step into this office. Someone will sit in this chair and look out at these lights and make the decisions that need making. Maybe it'll be you. Maybe it'll be someone else. But it'll happen. The machine keeps running. The system persists. Individual parts get replaced, but the structure remains. That's both comforting and depressing. Comforting because it means what we build outlasts us. Depressing because it means we're not as important as we think. The jazz has cycled back to the beginning. That trumpet asking its questions again. I should probably let you go. It's late. You've got to be tired. But I'm not quite ready to stop talking yet. There's something about this night. This rain. This moment. It feels important somehow. Like something that needs to be said is trying to get said, and if I stop talking now, the moment will pass and it'll never come out. What is it I'm trying to say? I'm not even sure. Maybe it's just that I'm tired. Tired of the game. Tired of the calculation. Tired of the weight of every decision, every relationship, every moment being about strategy and survival. I'm tired of being alone in rooms full of people. Tired of trusting no one. Tired of the constant vigilance required to maintain position and power. Just tired. But I can't stop. That's the thing. Even if I wanted to walk away, even if I decided tomorrow that I was done with all of this, I couldn't just leave. Too many people depend on the stability I provide. Too many agreements and arrangements and understandings are built on my word, my reputation, my presence. Leaving would collapse things. Would create chaos. Would hurt people who've been loyal, who've followed the rules, who've built their lives around the structure I maintain. So I stay. I keep doing the job. I keep making the decisions and maintaining the relationships and solving the problems. Because that's what responsibility means in this world. It doesn't mean you get to do what you want. It means you do what's necessary whether you want to or not. It means you carry the weight because no one else can. It means you don't get to quit just because you're tired. Leo understood that. It's why he kept working until his heart stopped. He couldn't retire because too much depended on him. He was the keystone. Remove him and the arch collapses. Same with me now. I'm the keystone. And keystones don't get to leave their position. They hold until they break. That's their purpose. That's their function. Heavy thoughts for a rainy night. See what happens when you let an old man talk too long? He starts philosophizing. Starts getting morbid. That's not fair to you. You're young. You shouldn't have to listen to an old man's regrets and weariness. You should be out there living. Making your own mistakes. Building your own story. Not sitting here listening to mine. But since you are here, since you're still listening, let me tell you a few things that might actually help you. Practical things. Things I wish someone had told me when I was your age. Maybe you'll listen. Maybe you won't. But at least I'll have said them. First thing, choose your loyalties carefully. Once you give your loyalty to someone, to an organization, to a cause, you're bound to it. Breaking that loyalty, even if you have good reason, it marks you. Follows you. People remember. So before you commit, before you give your word, make sure you're giving it to something worthy. Something that deserves it. Something that will honor your loyalty in return. Because loyalty in this world is the most valuable currency we have. More valuable than money. More valuable than power. It's the foundation everything else is built on. Second thing, don't confuse respect with fear. Fear is easy. Fear is quick. You do something brutal, something shocking, and people fear you. But fear doesn't last. Fear breeds resentment. Fear creates enemies who are just waiting for you to show weakness. Respect is harder to earn. Respect takes time. Takes consistency. Takes treating people fairly even when you don't have to. But respect lasts. Respect creates allies. Respect means people work with you because they want to, not because they're afraid not to. Build respect, not fear. Third thing, never stop learning. Never think you know enough. The game changes. The players change. The rules change. What worked 10 years ago might not work now. What seems impossible today might be standard tomorrow. Stay curious. Stay flexible. Stay open to new information, new strategies, new ways of seeing things. The guys who fail are the ones who get stuck in old patterns. Who keep fighting the last war instead of the current one. Don't be that guy. Adapt. Evolve. Learn. Fourth thing, take care of your people. The people below you, the people who work for you, who trust you, who depend on you, take care of them. Pay them fairly. Protect them when they're vulnerable. Honor their loyalty. Remember their families. Invest in their success. Because those are the people who'll protect you when you're vulnerable. Who'll stay loyal when staying loyal is dangerous. Who'll carry out your decisions even when they don't fully understand them. An organization is only as strong as the loyalty of its people. And loyalty is only as strong as how you treat those people. Fifth thing, and this is important. Know when to walk away from a situation. Know when a deal is bad. When a person is untrustworthy. When a risk isn't worth taking. Pride will tell you to push forward. Pride will tell you that walking away is weakness. But sometimes walking away is the smartest move. Sometimes preserving your position is more important than winning a particular battle. Don't let ego drive your decisions. Don't let pride trap you in bad situations. Be willing to walk away. Those 5 things, if you remember nothing else from tonight, remember those. They'll serve you well. They'll help you avoid the mistakes that take most people down. They won't guarantee success. Nothing does. But they'll improve your odds. And in this game, improving your odds is all you can really do. The rest is luck and timing and factors you can't control. The rain's softer now. Listen. It's barely audible. Just a whisper against the glass. The storm's past. Moving on to some other part of the city. Some other neighborhood. The streets down there will be wet and empty. The lights will reflect on the pavement like scattered jewels. It'll be beautiful in that stark, lonely way that cities are beautiful at night after rain. All the dirt washed away temporarily. All the noise quieted. Just the essential city remaining. The bones of it. I love this city. I know that probably sounds strange coming from someone in my position. Someone who profits from the city's vices and weaknesses. Someone who operates in its shadows and profits from its problems. But I do love it. I love its resilience. Its energy. Its refusal to die no matter how many times it gets knocked down. This city's been through everything. Economic collapse. Riots. Natural disasters. Corruption scandals. Crime waves. And it's still here. Still functioning. Still growing. Still believing in itself somehow. I like to think I'm part of that. Part of what keeps the city functioning. The legal economy couldn't exist without the illegal economy. They're connected. Interdependent. The legitimate world relies on the illegitimate world to handle things it can't acknowledge. To provide services it can't legally provide. To solve problems it can't officially solve. We're part of the ecosystem. A necessary part. Maybe not a pretty part. Maybe not a part anyone wants to think about. But necessary nonetheless. That's how I justify it anyway. How I sleep at night on the occasions when I actually sleep. I tell myself I'm providing a service. Maintaining order. Keeping things running. Without organizations like ours, there'd be chaos. Random violence. No structure. No rules. Just every hustler and thug and ambitious psychopath doing whatever they wanted to whoever they could. At least we provide structure. Predictability. Rules that people can operate within. That's worth something. That matters. Does it justify everything? The violence. The corruption. The lives damaged or destroyed? Probably not. But it's the rationalization I've got. The story I tell myself. We all need stories. Ways to make sense of our choices. Ways to live with what we've done and who we've become. This is my story. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a predator. I'm a provider of order in a chaotic world. I'm a maintainer of structure. I'm a necessary component of the urban ecosystem. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe. Partially. Or maybe it's just a story and the truth is simpler and uglier. Maybe I'm just a guy who made choices that led here, and I keep making those same choices because I don't know how to make different ones anymore. Maybe there's no grand justification. No higher purpose. Just decisions and consequences and a long accumulation of both. The trumpet's asking those questions again. Not expecting answers. Just asking. That's all we can do really. Ask the questions. Live with the not knowing. Keep moving forward because stopping isn't an option. Keep making choices because not choosing is still a choice. Keep carrying the weight because setting it down means letting everything collapse. That's the job. That's the life. That's what we signed up for, whether we understood what we were signing up for or not. Your eyes are closing. I can see them. Getting heavier. That's okay. You should rest. It's late. We've been talking for hours. Or I've been talking and you've been listening. Same thing really. You've done your part. You've been a good audience. a good confessor. You've let an old man ramble through his memories and regrets without interruption. That takes patience. That takes kindness. I appreciate it. The city's quieter now too. The rain's almost stopped. Just occasional drops hitting the window. The traffic's thin. Most people are asleep in their beds, dreaming whatever dreams they dream. The day shift in the factories is still a few hours away from starting. The night shift in the hospitals and police stations and all-night diners, they're in that late stretch where time slows down. Where minutes feel like hours. Where the world feels suspended between what was and what will be. We're suspended too, you and me. In this office. In this moment. The workday ended hours ago, but the new day hasn't quite started. We're in the gap. The space between. It's peaceful in its way. No demands. No decisions. No one needing anything from us. Just this quiet. This darkness. This room 42 floors above the sleeping city. I used to work nights exclusively when I was younger. Felt more alive at night. More myself. The daytime was for straight people with straight jobs. The night was for us. For people who operated outside the normal rules. There was a freedom in it. A sense that anything was possible once the sun went down. That the usual constraints didn't apply. That you could be whoever you wanted to be. But as I got older, as I moved up, as I became more legitimate in appearance if not in reality, I had to adapt to daytime hours. Had to take meetings in offices like this one. Had to wear suits and keep regular schedules and pretend to be a businessman. The night became something I visited rather than something I lived in. Now I'm back in it, at least for tonight. Back in the space where truth feels possible and masks can come off and you can admit things you wouldn't admit in daylight. There was a woman I mentioned earlier. The one who introduced me to this music. Her name was Elena. This was maybe 20 years ago. I was younger then but not young. Already established. Already powerful. Already alone in most of the ways that matter. She was a singer. Jazz singer. Worked in a club I had an interest in. Had this voice that could break your heart if you let it. Warm and sad at the same time. Full of longing for something that couldn't be named. We became close. As close as I let anyone get. She knew who I was, what I did. Didn't care. Or maybe she cared but accepted it. Saw past the role to whatever person was underneath. We'd talk for hours after her last set. The club would empty out and we'd sit at the bar with the lights down low and she'd play music for me. Educate me. Miles Davis. John Coltrane. Billie Holiday. Thelonious Monk. All these artists I'd never paid attention to. Never had time for. She said jazz was the sound of freedom. Of people making beauty in the midst of struggle. Of finding your voice when society tells you to be quiet. Of creating something meaningful in a world that tries to reduce you to nothing. She said that's why it was born in places like New Orleans and Chicago and Harlem. Born in communities that knew struggle. That knew oppression. That knew what it meant to survive despite everything trying to crush you. The music was survival made audible. I didn't understand it at first. Just heard the notes. The melodies. But the more I listened, the more I heard what she was talking about. The complexity. The improvisation. The way the musicians were having a conversation through their instruments. The way they took standards, songs everyone knew and reimagined them. Made them personal. Made them new. There was courage in that. Creativity in constraint. Beauty in limitations. Elena and I were together, if you can call it that, for about 3 years. Never lived together. Never made it official. Just existed in this space where we'd come together and share time and then go back to our separate lives. It worked for a while. She didn't ask for more than I could give. I didn't demand more than she was willing to share. We had an understanding, an arrangement that suited us both. Then one night she came to me and said she was leaving, moving to Los Angeles. Had an opportunity there. A better club, better musicians, better chance of actually making it as an artist. She said she couldn't stay here anymore. Said this city was killing something in her. Said she needed to go somewhere she could breathe. Somewhere she could be more than just a singer in a mob-owned club. Somewhere she could be herself. I could have stopped her. Could have made it difficult for her to leave. Could have called in favors, blocked opportunities, made sure the LA thing fell through. But I didn't. I let her go. Gave her money for the move. Gave her contacts out there. People who could help her. Because that's what you do when you care about someone, right? You let them go. You let them chase their dreams. You don't trap them in your world just because you're trapped in it yourself. She left. I haven't seen her since. Don't even know if she's still alive. Could find out easily enough if I wanted to. But I don't. Rather leave it uncertain. Rather imagine she made it. That she's singing somewhere, happy, living the life she wanted. That's better than knowing the truth, which might be sadder. Might be that she's working a straight job, dreams abandoned, singing to herself in the shower. Or worse. So I don't look. I just remember her the way she was. In that club. After hours. Teaching me about jazz. Teaching me that beauty exists even in broken places. She left behind this album. Kind of blue. Said I should listen to it when I needed to remember that there's more to life than the game. More than power and strategy and survival. She said sometimes you need to remember that humans created this. That despite everything, despite all the ugliness and struggle, we're capable of making something this beautiful. She said that should give me hope. Or at least comfort. I've listened to it probably 1,000 times since then. Always late at night. Always alone. Always when I need to remember what she was trying to tell me. That I'm more than this role I play. That there's something human still underneath all the armor and calculation. That it's not too late to find a different way. Though it probably is. Too late, I mean. Too much invested. Too much built. Too many people depending on the stability I maintain. Too far down this road to turn back now. But the music helps. It reminds me that other roads existed once. That I made choices that led here, but they were choices. Not inevitabilities. Not fate. Just choices. And other people made different choices and ended up in different places. Elena chose to leave. Chose to chase her dreams rather than settle for what was safe and certain. I chose to stay. Chose to build an empire rather than build a life. Neither choice is right or wrong. They're just different. They lead different places. The rain stopped completely now. The windows clearing. You can see the city lights more clearly. All those buildings. All those windows. All those lives happening simultaneously. Each person in each window, they've got their own story. Their own choices. Their own regrets and hopes and dreams. Their own music playing in their heads. We're all just trying to get through. Trying to make sense of it. Trying to find meaning or purpose or at least comfort. Trying to survive with some shred of dignity intact. That's what connects us, really. The struggle. The attempt. The refusal to give up even when giving up would be easier. Whether you're a crime boss in a high-rise or a factory worker in a row house or a jazz singer in a club, you're engaged in that same basic struggle. Trying to matter. Trying to mean something. Trying to leave some mark that says you were here, you existed, you weren't just empty space. What's my mark? This organization, I suppose. This structure I've built and maintained. It'll outlast me. Someone will inherit it, run it their own way, adapt it to new circumstances. And maybe they'll sit in this office some rainy night and think about me. Wonder what I was like, what I thought about, what kept me going. Or maybe they won't. Maybe I'll just be a name, a predecessor, a footnote in the organization's history. That's fine too. The mark doesn't have to be personal. It just has to be real. You're really drifting now. I can tell. Your breathing's changed. Deeper, slower, more regular. You're fighting it, trying to stay awake, but your body's shutting down. That's natural. Healthy. You need rest. We all do. Even those of us who've forgotten how to take it properly. Sleep is when the body repairs itself. When the mind processes everything it took in during the day. When we integrate experiences into memory and make sense of what happened. It's necessary. Essential. Can't function without it, not long term. I don't sleep enough. Haven't for years. Maybe decades. It's partly the insomnia that comes with stress and responsibility. Partly the habit of staying vigilant. Can't relax completely when you're always watching for threats. Always anticipating problems. Always thinking 3 moves ahead. The mind doesn't shut off. It just keeps running scenarios, evaluating risks, planning responses. Even when I lie down, even when I close my eyes, it continues. The endless calculation. The constant processing. Sometimes I take pills. Prescribed by a doctor I have on retainer. They help. Knock me out for a few hours at least. But I don't like how they make me feel. Groggy. Disconnected. Vulnerable. Rather be tired and alert than rested and compromised. So most nights I just lie there in the dark, waiting for morning. Thinking. Remembering. Regretting. Planning. The endless internal monologue that never quite stops. Maybe that's why I'm talking to you like this. Maybe it's a substitute for the sleep I can't get. A way to externalize all the thoughts that circle in my head. Speaking them out loud makes them less heavy somehow. Less oppressive. They're not trapped inside anymore. They're out here in the room, in the air, dissipating into the night. Released. Thank you for that. For listening. For being here. For giving me a reason to speak instead of just think. It's helped. More than you probably realize. When you wake up tomorrow, you might not remember all of this. Might seem like a dream. Might wonder if it really happened or if you imagined it. That's okay. I'll remember. That's enough. The jazz is winding down now. This track's almost over. Then it'll cycle back to the beginning, or maybe I'll turn it off. Haven't decided yet. There's something comforting about letting it play. About having something other than silence fill the space. But there's also something powerful about silence. About sitting with yourself and your thoughts without distraction. Without anything to hide behind. Just you and the truth of who you are and what you've done. I do that sometimes. Sit in complete silence. No music. No television. No distractions. Just me in this office and the city lights beyond the window. It's uncomfortable at first. The mind rebels. Wants stimulation. Wants something to focus on other than itself. But if you push through that discomfort, if you just sit with it long enough, it becomes peaceful. Almost meditative. You stop fighting and start accepting. Stop judging and start observing. Stop trying to be anything other than what you are. What am I? That's the question, isn't it? The one I've been circling all night without quite asking directly. Who is the person behind the role? Behind the reputation? Behind the organization and the power and the carefully maintained image? Strip all that away and what's left? I'm not sure anymore. Maybe I never was sure. Maybe the role is all there is. Maybe I've played it so long that it's not a role anymore. It's just me. The mask has fused to the face. The performance has become the reality. There's no authentic self hiding underneath waiting to emerge. There's just this person sitting in this chair on this rainy night. This collection of memories and choices and consequences. This accumulation of years. This survivor. Is that sad? Maybe. But it's also honest. It's what's true. And truth matters even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. The comfortable truths, those are easy. Those are the ones we tell ourselves to make life bearable. But the uncomfortable truths, those are the ones that shape us. Those are the ones we have to face eventually, alone in the dark, when all the distractions fall away and we're left with just ourselves. Your breathing's very deep now. Very slow. You're not fighting anymore. You've surrendered to it. To the sleep that's been pulling at you for the last hour. That's good. That's wise. Sometimes surrender is the smartest move. Sometimes you have to stop resisting and let yourself be carried. Let yourself rest. Trust that things will be okay without your constant vigilance. That's hard for people like us. People who've learned to stay alert. To always be watching. But sometimes you have to try. I'll keep watch while you sleep. That's what I do. Watch. Maintain. Keep things stable while others rest. It's my role. My function. Been doing it so long I wouldn't know how to stop. Wouldn't know what else to do with myself. The watching has become who I am. The vigilance is my identity. Take that away and I'm not sure what would be left. But that's okay. Everyone needs a purpose. A reason to get up in the morning. To keep going when going is hard. My purpose is this. The organization. The structure. The maintenance of order in this small corner of a chaotic world. It's not noble. It's not inspiring. But it's mine. It's what I've built. And it matters to the people who depend on it. That's enough. That has to be enough. The city's starting to show signs of the coming dawn. Not light yet, but a subtle shift in the quality of darkness. Less absolute. Less complete. The sky's changing from black to dark blue. The stars, the few you can see through the city's light pollution, they're starting to fade. Another night ending. Another day beginning. The cycle continues. Reliable. Constant. Indifferent to us and our concerns. I'll probably stay here until full daylight. Watch the sunrise from this window. See the city wake up. The early traffic starting. The lights in the buildings coming on as people arrive for work. The transformation from night city to day city. It's subtle but it's real. The city becomes something different in daylight. More legitimate. More respectable. The night city, my city, retreats into shadows. Becomes invisible. But it's still there. Always there. Waiting for the sun to set so it can emerge again. You'll wake up in an hour or two. Stiff from sleeping in that chair. Confused about where you are for a moment. Then you'll remember. The storm. The late night. The boss who kept you here talking. You'll probably wonder why. What was the point of all that? What was I trying to tell you? And the honest answer is I'm not sure. Maybe there was no point. Maybe I just needed to talk and you were willing to listen. Maybe that's enough. Maybe connection, even temporary connection, even one-sided connection, maybe that's valuable in itself. Or maybe there was a point. Maybe I was trying to teach you something. Show you what this life really is. Not the glamorous version you might have imagined. Not the powerful crime boss making dramatic decisions and commanding respect. But the reality. The loneliness. The weight. The accumulation of compromises. The slow erosion of the person you thought you'd be. Maybe I was trying to warn you. To give you a chance to choose differently. To walk away before you're in too deep. Will you walk away? Probably not. Most people don't. The money's too good. The power's too seductive. The alternative, the straight world with its limitations and its rules and its ceiling on how high you can rise, it seems worse than the risks of this world. So you'll stay. You'll climb. You'll make the same compromises I made. The same choices. And maybe 20 or 30 years from now, you'll be sitting in an office like this one, talking to some young kid who stayed late, trying to articulate something you don't quite understand yourself. That's the cycle. That's how it works. The old generation talks to the young generation. Tries to pass on wisdom or warnings or just context. And the young generation listens but doesn't really hear. Doesn't really understand until they've lived it themselves. Until they've made their own mistakes and accumulated their own regrets. Then they become the old generation and the cycle repeats. Endless. Inevitable. Unchanging in its pattern even as the specific details shift. But maybe you'll be different. Maybe you'll hear what I'm saying. Really hear it. Maybe you'll make better choices than I did. Find a way to have power without isolation. Build success without sacrificing yourself completely. Maintain humanity while operating in an inhuman world. Maybe. I hope so. Someone should figure out how to do this better. How to navigate this world without losing themselves entirely. Might as well be you. The trumpet's still playing. Softer now. More contemplative. It's saying goodnight in its way. Wrapping up its questions. Making peace with the not knowing. That's what we all have to do eventually. Make peace with uncertainty. With ambiguity. With the fact that we'll never have all the answers. Never fully understand. Never be completely sure we made the right choices. We just have to do our best and live with the results and hope that's enough. Is it enough? What I've done? What I've built? The way I've lived? I don't know. Some days I think yes. I've survived. I've provided for people who depend on me. I've maintained order. I've done what was necessary. Other days I think no. I've wasted my life. Pursued the wrong things. Sacrificed what mattered for what didn't. Ended up alone and tired and wondering what the point was. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Neither complete success nor complete failure. Just a life. Complicated and contradictory and human. Your face looks peaceful now. Relaxed. Whatever tension you were carrying earlier, it's gone. Sleep is doing its work. Restoring you. Preparing you for tomorrow. You'll wake up and go back to your life and this night will fade into memory. Become less vivid. Less immediate. Eventually just a story you tell sometimes. The night the boss kept me late and talked for hours. You'll probably edit it in your memory. Make it clearer than it was. More coherent. Give it a shape and meaning it didn't have in the moment. That's what memory does. It improves on reality. Makes it more manageable. More storied. I'll remember it more clearly, probably. It'll be a rare thing for me. A night when I was honest. When I spoke without calculation. When I let someone see past the role to whatever person still exists underneath. There aren't many nights like that. Maybe there shouldn't be. Maybe the role is what protects me. What allows me to function. What keeps me from being crushed by the weight of what I carry. Maybe the person underneath wouldn't survive exposure. Maybe the armor is what's keeping me alive. But for tonight, for these hours, I let it down a little. Let you see some of what's underneath. And it felt good. Risky but good. Vulnerable but necessary. Like lancing a wound. Painful but ultimately healing. Getting the poison out. letting air and light reach places that have been sealed off too long. Maybe I needed this more than you did. Maybe you were doing me the favor by listening, not the other way around. The darkness is definitely lifting now. The city's taking shape. Individual buildings becoming visible instead of just patterns of light. The streets below gaining definition. The dawn is coming, slow but inevitable. Can't stop it. Can't delay it. Can only watch it happen and adjust to the new conditions. That's life in miniature right there. Changes you can't control, coming whether you're ready or not. You can resist or you can adapt. Resisting is exhausting and ultimately futile. Adapting is difficult, but at least it gives you a chance. I've adapted a lot over the years. To changing circumstances. Changing players. Changing rules. The city now is completely different from the city I came up in. Different economics. Different demographics. Different technologies. Different threats and opportunities. I've had to learn new skills. New languages. New ways of operating. The guys who couldn't adapt, who stayed stuck in old patterns, they're gone. Dead or imprisoned or irrelevant. Adaptation is survival. Flexibility is strength. But there's a cost to constant adaptation. You lose your center. Your core. The thing that makes you you. You become so fluid, so adaptable that you're not sure what's real anymore. What's performance and what's authentic? What's strategic and what's true? The boundaries blur. You become a collection of roles and reactions and calculated responses. The original person, whoever that was, gets lost in the translation. I don't know who I would have been if I'd lived a different life. Gone to college, maybe. Gotten a regular job. Married someone. Had kids. Lived in the suburbs. Mowed the lawn on Saturdays. Coached Little League. All the normal things normal people do. Would I have been happier? More fulfilled? Or would I have felt trapped and restless, always wondering what I was missing? Always feeling like I was capable of more but stuck in a small life? No way to know. That path wasn't available to me. Or I didn't see it as available. Same thing really. We make choices based on what we think is possible. And those choices shape what becomes possible next. It's not predestination. But it's not complete freedom either. It's something in between. Constrained choices within limited options. We do our best with what we've got. Then we live with the results. The rain left everything clean. The windows are spotted with drops, but the air outside looks clear. Fresh. The kind of air that makes you want to open windows and breathe deep. Start over. Begin again. That's what every dawn offers, I suppose. A clean slate. A new beginning. The chance to do things differently today than you did yesterday. Most of us don't take that chance. We just repeat the same patterns. The same mistakes. The same choices. But the offer is there. Every morning. Every dawn. The possibility of change. Will I change? Will I make different choices? Probably not. I'm too far down this road. Too invested in this identity. Too surrounded by structures that depend on me staying exactly who I am. But maybe I can make small changes. Small adjustments. Be a little more honest. A little more human. A little more willing to connect, even if connection means vulnerability. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all change ever is. Small adjustments accumulated over time until you look back and realize you're different than you were. You're sleeping so deeply now. Not moving at all. Just breathing. In and out. Steady. Reliable. That's the rhythm of life right there. Breath moving in. Breath moving out. Everything else is decoration. Complication. But that basic rhythm, that's essential. That's what keeps us here. What connects us to this world, this body, this moment, breath. When I die, that rhythm will stop. The breathing will cease. The body will shut down. The consciousness, whatever it is, wherever it goes, will move on. And someone else will sit in this chair. We'll look out this window. We'll make decisions about the organization. And I'll be gone. Really gone. Not just physically, but eventually from memory too. The people who knew me will die. The stories about me will fade. The organization will evolve beyond anything I'd recognize. And it'll be like I never existed. Just another temporary occupant of a role that persists while individuals come and go. That should bother me more than it does. The impermanence, the insignificance, the fact that nothing I do will matter in 100 years or 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years. But it doesn't. Maybe because I've made peace with it. Maybe because I'm too tired to care. Maybe because I've learned that significance is overrated. Better to just do the work in front of you. Take care of the people who depend on you. Maintain what you're responsible for. Let the future worry about itself. The music's ended. The album's finished. I could start it again, but I won't. Time to let the silence in. Let the morning have its space. The night's done its work. The talking's done. The confession's complete. Now there's just the quiet, the waiting, the transition from darkness to light, from night to day, from past to present to future. You'll wake soon. When you do, I'll have coffee ready. Black probably. Strong. That's how I drink it. You can add cream or sugar if you want. We won't talk much probably. The spell of the night will be broken. The intimacy of darkness gone. We'll be back in our roles. Boss and employee. The hierarchy restored. The distance reinstated. That's appropriate. That's how it needs to be for things to function properly. But for these hours we were something else. Something less defined. Just two people in a room, one talking and one listening, connected by the simple human need to be heard. To be seen. To matter, even temporarily, to another consciousness. That's what we all want, really. To matter. To mean something. To someone. Even if it's just for one night. Even if it's forgotten by morning. The wanting is what makes us human. The reaching out. The attempt to connect despite everything. The sky's lightening faster now. You can see the horizon. A thin line of gold where the sun will rise. Any minute now. The city's waking up. Buses starting their routes. Coffee shops opening their doors. People stirring in their beds, reaching for alarm clocks, beginning their routines. The city that never sleeps is waking up anyway. Shaking off the night. Putting on its day face. Becoming respectable again. And here we are. 42 floors up, watching it happen, separate from it, above it, but also part of it, dependent on it. We need the city. The organization needs the city. The life we've built needs all those people down there living their lives, creating the economy and the society and the structures we operate within. We're parasites in a sense, or symbionts, depending on how you look at it. Either way, we're connected. Part of the system. Part of the ecology. The first direct ray of sunlight just hit the top of that building across the way. Brilliant gold on gray concrete. Beautiful, really. The way light transforms things. Makes them new. Even things as solid and permanent as buildings look different in this light. More fragile. More temporary. Like they're made of light themselves instead of stone and steel. Like they could dissolve if the light shifted just right. Maybe that's what all of this is. Light and shadow playing on surfaces. Creating the illusion of solidity. Of permanence. of meaning. But underneath it's all just energy in various forms. Matter is energy. Consciousness is energy. We're all just patterns of energy temporarily holding a particular shape. Soon enough the pattern dissolves. The energy moves on, takes other forms, creates other patterns. Nothing is lost. Nothing is gained. Everything just transforms. Heavy thoughts for a sunrise. But that's where I am right now. In that philosophical space between sleep and waking, between night and day, between past and future. The liminal space where normal rules don't quite apply. Where you can think thoughts you wouldn't think in full daylight. Where truth seems both more obvious and more mysterious. You're stirring now. Your eyes moving under their lids. Your breathing changing. Your body preparing to wake. In a moment you'll open your eyes and this long strange night will be officially over. The dawn will be complete. The new day will have begun. And we'll both go forward into it, carrying whatever we've gained from these hours. Whatever understanding or confusion or simple weariness. Before you wake, before the spell breaks completely, let me say one last thing. Thank you. For staying. For listening. For giving me this. Whatever this was. Confession or conversation or just the sound of my own voice filling silence. Mattered. You mattered. This night mattered. Maybe that's all we can hope for. That the moments we create matter to someone. That our presence makes a difference, however small. That we're seen and heard and acknowledged, even briefly, even temporarily. The sun's rising now. Full dawn. The city's gold and shadow. The sky's blue and cloudless. The storm's gone completely. Just puddles on the streets below as evidence it was ever here. The night's gone too. Just memory now. Just story. Just something that happened once in this room between two people while the world slept. Your eyes are opening. Slowly. Squinting against the light. You'll be disoriented for a moment. Confused. Then you'll remember. And this will become real again. The office. The boss. The role you play in this organization. The life you're building. The choices you're making. All of it coming back into focus. Sharpening. Becoming solid and present and demanding. Welcome back. The night's over. The day's begun. And we both have work to do. But first, coffee. Let me make us some coffee. Then we'll see what the new day brings. Actually, no. Not yet. You're not fully awake. Your eyes open but they're closing again. Fighting it. Your body's not ready yet. Needs a few more minutes. That's fine. Take your time. There's no rush. The world can wait a little longer. The sun's up but the day hasn't really started yet. We're still in that buffer zone. That transition time. Let me keep talking while you drift between sleeping and waking. My voice can be an anchor. Something to hold on to while you find your way back to full consciousness. I've been told I have a good voice for this. For late night talking. Low and steady. Doesn't demand attention. Just offers it. Like the jazz. Like the rain that stopped now but left its residue. Its memory. I was thinking while you slept about all the people who've sat in that chair over the years. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. People who worked for me. People who wanted something from me. People who were afraid of me. People who respected me. People who hated me but hid it well. All of them sitting where you're sitting now. Looking out at the same view. Seeing the same city lights. Hearing the same sounds of traffic and rain and wind. Each of them brought their own stories. Their own histories. Their own reasons for being here. Most of them are gone now. Moved on to other things. Other cities. Other lives. Some of them are dead. Some are in prison. Some got out of the game and went legitimate. Opened restaurants or construction companies or consulting firms. Used what they learned here to build something legal. Something they could be proud of. Or at least something they didn't have to hide. I'm glad for them. The ones who got out. Who found a way to transition from this world to the straight world. It's not easy. The skills that work here don't always translate. The mindset that keeps you alive here can get you in trouble there. But some people manage it. Some people figure out how to leave the dirt behind. How to wash themselves clean and stay that way. I respect that. More than they probably know. There was a guy, Marcus Webb. Worked for me for maybe 10 years. Smart kid. Good with numbers. Could see patterns in financial data that other people missed. He ran our legitimate businesses. Made sure the books were clean. Made sure we had cover. Made sure the money we needed to wash got washed properly. He was good at it. Really good. Could have made a fortune on Wall Street if he'd wanted to go that route. But then his daughter was born. His first kid. And something changed in him. I saw it happen. Saw him looking at that baby differently than he looked at anything else. Like she was made of light instead of flesh. Like she was the most important thing in the universe. And I knew he was going to leave. Knew he couldn't stay in this world and raise that little girl. Couldn't risk her growing up with a father in prison or worse. He came to me about 6 months after she was born. Sat in that chair. Asked permission to leave. Not just the organization. The city. He'd gotten a job offer in Seattle. Legit job. Financial consulting. Less money than he was making here, but clean money. Money he could explain. Money his daughter wouldn't be ashamed of when she got old enough to understand where it came from. He wanted my blessing. Wanted to leave on good terms. I gave it to him. No hesitation. Told him to go. Raise his daughter. Build a clean life. Be the father he wanted to be. I even helped him set it up. Made sure the transition looked legitimate. Made sure no one would come looking for him later. Made sure he could really leave. Really start over. Because that's what you do when someone wants out for the right reasons. You let them go. You don't trap them just because you're trapped. He sends me a card every Christmas. Just a card. No letter. No message. Just his signature and a photo of his family. His daughter's 7 now. Beautiful kid. Looks happy. Looks loved. Looks like she's growing up in a world completely different from the one her father came from. That makes me happy. Gives me a sense that something good came out of all this. That I helped create one good outcome in the midst of all the complicated and morally ambiguous outcomes that usually result from what we do. Is that enough? One kid growing up safe because her father worked for me and I let him leave when he wanted to? Probably not. Probably doesn't balance the scales. Doesn't make up for the other outcomes. The other families affected by our operations. The people hurt. The lives damaged. But it's something. It's one good thing I can point to and say, yes, that happened because of choices I made. That child has a father because I chose to let him go instead of holding on. The sky's fully light now. Blue and clear. No clouds. Just that perfect morning blue that promises a beautiful day. The city looks almost innocent in this light. Clean and new and full of possibility. You can almost forget what happens in the shadows. What happens in rooms like this one. What happens when the sun goes down and the other city emerges. The city that doesn't appear on tourist maps. The city of deals and debts and enforced agreements. My city. But during the day that city recedes. Becomes invisible. The regular people go about their regular lives not knowing or not thinking about the infrastructure that supports their comfort. The systems that keep things running. The organizations that handle the things society needs but doesn't want to acknowledge. We're ghosts during the day, present but invisible, operating in plain sight but unseen. That's how it has to be. That's how it works. You're breathing differently now. Still asleep but lighter. Closer to the surface. Your body's ready to wake but your mind's holding on to sleep a little longer. Trying to get every last minute of rest before consciousness pulls you back into responsibility and expectation and the demands of being awake. I understand that. I understand wanting to stay in that space where nothing's required of you. Where you can just exist without performing, without producing, without being anything other than a sleeping body in a chair. There's a purity to sleep, an honesty. You can't fake it, can't pretend. Your body either sleeps or it doesn't. Your mind either releases control or it doesn't. There's no middle ground, no compromise. Just the binary of consciousness and unconsciousness, awake or asleep, on or off, present or absent. It's one of the few things in life that's actually that simple, that clear. Everything else is complicated, gray, ambiguous. Even things that should be simple become complicated once you examine them closely. Is this business deal fair? Depends on what you mean by fair. Depends on perspective. Depends on what information you have and what information you're missing. Is this person trustworthy? Sometimes. In some contexts. Under certain conditions. But absolutely? No one's absolutely trustworthy. Everyone has their breaking point, their price, their limit beyond which loyalty fails. I've seen loyal people break. Seen them betray everything they claimed to believe in. Not because they were weak or bad. Just because the pressure exceeded their capacity to withstand it. Everyone breaks eventually if the pressure's enough. That's not a moral failing. It's just physics. Materials have stress limits. Exceed those limits and failure occurs. Human beings are materials. We have limits. We break. The trick is knowing your own limits. Knowing how much pressure you can take before you break. Knowing when to relieve pressure before it becomes catastrophic. Knowing when to say no. When to walk away. When to admit you can't handle what's being asked of you. That's self-awareness. That's wisdom. It's rare. Most people don't know their limits until they exceed them. Until they break. Then it's too late. The damage is done. Trust is destroyed. Relationships are ended. Consequences cascade. I've broken a few times. Not publicly. Not in ways that were visible to the organization. But privately. Internally. Moments where the pressure exceeded my capacity and something inside me cracked. Fractured. Those cracks are still there. Healed over, maybe, but not gone. Never gone. You carry them with you. They're part of your structure now. Part of what you're made of. Scar tissue is stronger than regular tissue, they say. But it's also less flexible. More prone to tearing again in the same spot. The first time I broke was after a situation with a young guy named Danny Reeves. He was maybe 19. Worked as a runner for one of my crews. Low level. Nobody important. Just a kid trying to make money. Trying to prove himself. Trying to climb. He made a mistake. Got caught with product by a cop who wasn't on our payroll. A straight cop. Rare, but they exist. This cop wanted to make an example. Wanted to go after the whole organization through this kid. Danny panicked. Started talking. Told the cop things he shouldn't have told. Names. Addresses. Operations. Not everything. He didn't know everything. But enough to cause problems. Enough to make people nervous. Enough that action had to be taken. We couldn't let him keep talking. Couldn't let him think cooperation with law enforcement was an option. Had to send a message. You know how this works. You know what happens. I gave the order. Told the crew to handle it. They handled it. Danny disappeared. His body was never found. His mother filed a missing person report. There was a brief investigation. It went nowhere. The cop who arrested him knew what happened. Couldn't prove it but knew it. He transferred out of the district 6 months later. Couldn't take it. Couldn't live with knowing what his righteous bust had led to. He was trying to do the right thing and a kid died because of it. I didn't kill Danny myself. Didn't even watch it happen. Just gave the order. Just made the decision that his life was worth less than the organization's security. That's what broke me. Not the killing itself. I'd ordered worse. But the casualness of it. The bureaucratic efficiency. The way I calculated the cost-benefit and decided his death was the less expensive option. The way I reduced a human life to a line item in a risk assessment. That's when I realized what I'd become. What the job had made me. I went home that night and sat in the dark for hours. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't think. Just sat there with the weight of it pressing down. Danny's face in my mind. His mother's face from the missing person report that got filed. The cop's face. All of them looking at me with accusation and grief and the question of how I could do this. How I could be this. And I had no answer. No justification that felt adequate. Just the cold logic of organizational necessity. Just the calculus of survival. That's what cracked me. That realization. That I'd become someone who could make that calculation and live with it. I'd become exactly what I swore I wouldn't become. Exactly what I hated when I was young and powerless and watching powerful people hurt powerless people for strategic reasons. I'd become the villain in someone else's story. In Danny's story. In his mother's story. In that cop's story. I was the monster. The bad guy. The one who had to be stopped. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Too much momentum. Too much weight. Too many people depending on the structure I maintained. So I just absorbed the crack. Incorporated it into my foundation. Learned to live with that broken place inside me. Learned to function despite it. Learn to make the same calculations again when necessary because necessity doesn't care about your broken places. It just keeps demanding, keeps requiring, keeps pushing you to do things that break you a little more each time. You don't want to hear this. These dark stories. These confessions of moral injury. But I'm telling you anyway because you need to know. You need to understand what you're signing up for if you stay in this world. This is what it does to you. Gradually. Incrementally. It breaks you in ways you don't recover from. It turns you into someone you wouldn't recognize. Someone you might not like. But someone who survives. Someone who endures. Someone who keeps the machine running despite the cost to their own humanity. Is it worth it? I don't know. I've never known. I just keep doing it because stopping seems worse. Because stopping seems like admitting that all the breaking was for nothing. That Danny died for nothing. That all the other Dannys, all the other broken places, all the other compromises and calculations and casualties, that they meant nothing. At least if I keep going, I can tell myself there's a purpose. That I'm maintaining something. That the structure matters. That order matters. That preventing chaos is worth the price. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just rationalizing. Telling myself stories to make the weight bearable. To make the breaking seem like sacrifice instead of corruption. To make myself the tragic hero instead of the villain. We're all storytellers in the end. We all narrate our own lives in ways that let us sleep at night. Or try to sleep anyway. The coffee's made. I set it up while you were deep asleep. Programmed the machine to brew at dawn. Smells good, doesn't it? That's Colombian. Single origin. Expensive. I'm particular about coffee the same way I'm particular about whiskey. Life's too short for bad coffee. Even a long life like mine. Especially a long life like mine. The small pleasures matter more when you don't have many of the big ones. A good cup of coffee. A smooth glass of whiskey. Music that speaks to something deep inside. These things sustain you when nothing else does. Pour yourself some when you're ready. There's cream in the small refrigerator behind the bar. Real cream, not that synthetic stuff. And sugar if you want it, though I'd suggest trying it black first. This coffee doesn't need anything. Stands on its own. That's quality. When something's good enough, it doesn't need adornment. Doesn't need to be dressed up or covered up. Just presents itself honestly and lets you experience it for what it is. I wish more things in life could be like that. Simple. Honest. What they appear to be. But almost nothing is. Everything's layered. Everything has hidden depths and secret motives and complicated contexts. Even something as simple as a conversation between two people in an office. Even this night we've spent together. It seems simple on the surface. Boss talking to employee. Old man rambling to young listener. But underneath there are calculations. Power dynamics. Unspoken agendas. Tests and assessments and evaluations happening beneath the surface discourse. Am I testing you? Maybe. Probably. Seeing how you handle this. How you react to vulnerability. To honesty. To seeing behind the mask. Are you trustworthy with this information? Will you use it against me? Will you respect the confidence or exploit the weakness? These are questions I'm asking even as I talk. Even as I confess. Even as I pretend this is simple human connection without complication. Because nothing's simple. Nothing's without complication. Not in this world. Not in this life. But maybe that's okay. Maybe complication is just reality asserting itself. Reminding us that we're not in control the way we think we are. That other people have agency. That situations have momentum. That outcomes can't be predicted or managed no matter how smart we think we are. Maybe accepting complication is accepting reality. And accepting reality is the beginning of wisdom. Or at least the beginning of something. Something more honest than the illusions we usually operate within. Your eyes are moving again. More actively now. You're close. Very close to waking. The sleep's releasing its grip. Letting you go. Returning you to the world of consciousness and consequence. In a moment you'll be fully back. Fully present. And we'll have to navigate whatever comes next. The awkwardness of mourning. The question of what this night meant. The challenge of returning to normal professional relationship after this strange intimate interlude. It'll be fine. We'll manage it. We're both skilled at managing awkward situations. At pretending things are normal when they're not. At maintaining appearances despite underlying complications. That's part of surviving in this world. The performance. The mask. The ability to act as if everything's under control even when it's not. Even when you're broken inside. Even when you're so tired you can barely think. You put on the mask and you perform the role and you get through another day. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all success really is. Getting through. One day after another. One choice after another. One compromise after another. Until eventually you've lived a life. Not the life you imagined. Not the life you wanted. Just a life. The one that happened. The one that resulted from all those choices and compromises and broken places. And you either make peace with that or you don't. Either way, the life happened. Can't take it back. Can't do it over. Can only live with what is. I'm rambling now. Going in circles. That's what happens when you've been talking all night. The thoughts start to loop. The themes start to repeat. The same ideas expressed in slightly different ways. Over and over. Like the jazz. Like the rain. Like the breathing. Repetition with variation. That's the pattern of consciousness. That's how the mind works when it's tired and honest and not trying to control the flow. It just goes. Follows its own logic. Makes its own connections. Circles back to what matters even when it seems like it's moving forward. What matters to me? After all this talking, all this confession, all this exposition of my life and choices and regrets, what actually matters? What's the core? What's the essence underneath all the complication? I think it's connection. That's what I've been trying to say all night without quite saying it. What I miss. What I sacrificed. What I need but can't have or don't let myself have. Connection. Real connection. Where someone knows you and you know them and there's something real passing between you. Not strategy. Not performance. Not calculation. Just human contact. Human recognition. The acknowledgement that we're both here, both conscious, both struggling with the weight of existence. Both trying to make sense of it. Both failing but trying anyway. That's what Elena offered. What Brother Aldrich offered. What Leo offered in his way. Not just mentorship or romance or whatever the surface relationship was, but that deeper thing. That recognition. That seeing and being seen. That matching to someone in a way that went beyond utility or function or role. Just matching as a person. As a consciousness. As a fellow traveler through this strange experience of being alive. I've had so little of that. By choice mostly. I've kept people at distance. Maintained walls. Protected myself from the vulnerability that real connection requires. And those walls protected me, yes. Kept me safe from betrayal and loss and the pain of caring too much. But they also imprisoned me. Isolated me. Turned my life into this lonely vigil. This watching from 42 floors up while the world moves below me, separate, distant, unreachable. Was it worth it? The safety bought with isolation? The power bought with loneliness? I've been asking myself that all night and I still don't have an answer. Part of me says yes. Says I survived. Says that's what matters. Says the alternative would have been worse. Says I did what I had to do and shouldn't regret it. But another part, a quieter part, a part that only speaks up in moments like this when I'm tired and my defenses are down, that part says no. Says I could have found another way. Says I chose fear over courage. Says I'm not a survivor, just a coward who ran away from life and called it strategy. Which voice is telling the truth? Both probably. Neither. Truth is complicated. Contradictory. You can be both brave and cowardly. Both successful and failed. Both right and wrong in the same decision. Both connected and isolated in the same moment. The mind wants clarity. Wants simple answers. Wants to categorize things as good or bad, right or wrong, success or failure. But life doesn't offer that clarity. Life offers mess and contradiction and situations where every choice has costs and benefits and unintended consequences. So you do your best. You make your choices. You live with the results. And you try to find meaning in it. Try to believe that it mattered. That you mattered. That the life you lived meant something beyond just consuming oxygen and space for a certain number of years. You try to believe that. Have to believe it, really? Because the alternative is unbearable. The alternative is accepting that it's all random and meaningless and nothing matters. And humans can't live with that. We need meaning even if we have to manufacture it ourselves. My meaning is this organization, this structure, this maintenance of order in a small corner of a chaotic world. It's not much. It's not noble. But it's mine. It's what I built. It's what I've dedicated my life to. And it continues. Will continue after I'm gone. That's my meaning. That's my mark. That's what I have instead of children or art or any other legacy people usually leave behind. An organization. A system. A way of doing things that works and endures and provides for people. That's my contribution. That's my life's work. Is it enough? Ask me on different days and I'll give you different answers. Today, right now, with the sun coming up and you sleeping in that chair and the city waking up below us, today I'm going to say yes. Yes, it's enough. It's what I have. It's what I did with the time and talent and opportunity one was given. It's not perfect. It's not pure. But it's real. It exists. It matters to the people it affects. That's enough. That has to be enough. You're waking up. I can see it. Your breathing's changed. Your face is changing. The slack relaxation of sleep is giving way to the tension of consciousness. In a moment your eyes will open and you'll be back. Fully back. And this long night will transition into morning. Into day. Into whatever comes next. But before you wake, before that transition completes, let me say one last thing. Whatever you remember from tonight, whatever you take away from these hours, don't let it scare you away from living, from connecting, from taking risks that matter. I've told you dark things, true things, things about the cost of this life and what it does to you. But I don't want you to make my mistakes. Don't use fear as an excuse for isolation. Don't use strategy as an excuse for not caring. Don't use strength as an excuse for not being vulnerable. Because that's what I did. And it worked in its way. But it also cost me everything that makes life worth living. So be smarter than me. Be braver than me. Build your power but don't let it wall you off from humanity. Build your empire but don't let it become a prison. Win your games but don't forget there's more to life than winning. Find people you can trust and trust them. Find people you can love and love them. Find connections that matter and maintain them even when it's risky. Even when it's scary. Even when it would be safer and simpler to keep everyone at distance. Because the safety of isolation is a trap. A comfortable trap. A trap that feels like wisdom. But it's still a trap. And once you're in it as deep as I am, once the walls are as high as mine are, getting out becomes nearly impossible. The habits are too ingrained. The defense is too automatic. The fear too deeply embedded. So don't go as far as I did. Stop while you still can. Build a life that includes other people. Real relationships. Real connections. Real love. That's my advice. That's my wisdom, such as it is. Not the tactical stuff about loyalty and respect and adaptation. That's useful too. But this is more important. Don't end up like me. Powerful but alone. Successful but empty. Secure but imprisoned. Don't trade your humanity for survival. Find a way to keep both. It's possible. It has to be possible. Other people do it. You can too. Your eyes are opening. Slowly. Blinking against the light. Adjusting. You're confused for a moment. Disoriented. Then you remember. The office. The night. The talking. Me. It all comes back. Settles into place. Becomes real again. You're awake now. Fully awake. And the night is over. Good morning. You slept well. Deeply. That's good. You needed it. We both needed this night, I think. For different reasons. But we both needed it. Now it's morning. Now it's a new day. Now we go back to being who we're supposed to be. Boss and employee. The roles we play. The masks we wear. That's fine. That's appropriate. That's how it needs to be. But maybe we'll both remember this night. Remember that underneath the roles, underneath the masks, underneath all the complications and calculations, we're both just people. Just consciousnesses trying to make sense of existence. Just humans trying to survive with some shred of dignity and meaning intact. Maybe remembering that will change something. Make some small difference. Or maybe it won't. Maybe tomorrow we'll have forgotten or pretended to forget and everything will go back to exactly how it was. Either way, the night happened. These hours happened. These words were spoken. These truths were shared. That's real. That exists now. Can't take it back. Can't pretend it didn't happen. It's part of the story now. Part of your story and part of my story. A night when an old man talked and a young person listened and something passed between them. Something human. Something real. Something that mattered, at least for those hours. The coffee's still hot. Pour yourself a cup. Take a minute. Get your bearings. Then when you're ready, we'll talk about the day ahead. The work that needs doing. The problems that need solving. The business of running this organization. We'll put our masks back on and play our roles and do what needs to be done. Because that's the job. That's the life. That's what we signed up for. But first, coffee. And a moment. And the acknowledgement that we're both here. Both present. Both alive. Both carrying our burdens. Both doing our best. Both trying to survive in a world that doesn't make survival easy. That's something. That's worth acknowledging. That's worth this moment of shared humanity before we go back to the game. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying. Thank you for this night. Now let's face the day. Together. Whatever it brings. Actually, sit a minute longer. The coffee can wait. There's something else. Something I haven't told you yet. Something I've been circling around all night without quite landing on. Maybe I was waiting for the right moment. Or maybe I was waiting to see if I'd have the courage to actually say it. Now seems like the time. Now, with the dawn complete and you awake and the night's confession nearly finished. Now I can tell you the real reason I asked you to stay. I'm tired. Not just physically tired. Soul tired. Bone tired. Tired in ways that sleep doesn't fix. I've been doing this for 23 years. Running things. Making decisions. Carrying the weight. And I'm not sure how much longer I can keep going. Not because of external threats. Not because the authorities are closing in or rivals are moving against me. Just because I'm worn out. Used up. The engine's still running, but it's running on fumes. On habit. On momentum. Not on fuel. Not on desire. Not on any real belief that this matters anymore. I've been thinking about succession. About what happens when I'm gone. Whether I die or retire or simply can't do it anymore. The organization needs continuity. Needs someone to step into this role and maintain what's been built. Someone smart enough to handle the complexity. Patient enough to play the long game. Strong enough to make hard decisions. But also human enough to remember why any of this matters. Human enough not to become what I've become. Not to make all my mistakes over again. I've been watching you. Since you started working here 6 months ago. Watching how you handle situations. How you interact with people. How you think. How you listen. You've got potential. Real potential. Not just for this job. For anything. You could go anywhere. Do anything. Build whatever kind of life you want. But if you wanted to stay here, if you wanted to move up in this organization, you could. You could go far. Could go all the way eventually. Could sit in this chair and run things and build on what I've built. Is that what you want? I don't know. I'm not asking you to decide tonight. I'm just telling you it's possible. It's an option. If you prove yourself. If you learn the business. If you develop the skills and the judgment and the relationships. If you want it badly enough to pay the price. Because there is a price. I've told you that. I've told you what it costs. But some people think it's worth it. Some people look at the power and the money and the respect and they decide, yes, that's worth the cost. That's worth the sacrifice. I'm not one of those people anymore. I thought I was once. When I was your age, when I was climbing, when I was building all this, I thought it was worth it. I thought the cost was acceptable. The trade-off made sense. But somewhere along the way I changed my mind. Or circumstances changed my mind. Or I just got old and tired and started questioning everything. And now I'm not sure. Now I look at what I built and what I've given up to build it, and I can't say with certainty that it was the right choice. But that's my perspective, my experience, my particular set of costs and benefits. Yours might be different. You might have the wisdom to avoid my mistakes, the courage to stay connected while building power, the balance I never found. You might look back 30 years from now and think, yes, this was worth it. This was the right path. I chose well. Or you might sit where I'm sitting now and feel what I'm feeling and wonder if you should have done something different. No way to know until you live it. No way to predict how the journey will change you. No way to foresee what you'll have to do or what it'll cost or whether you'll regret it. All you can do is make the best choice you can with the information you have and then live with the consequences. That's all any of us can do. That's all life is really. Choices and consequences. Over and over. Until there are no more choices to make. I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm not trying to seduce you into this life. If anything, I've spent the night trying to scare you away from it. Trying to show you the reality behind the image. The cost behind the power. The loneliness behind the success. I've been as honest as I know how to be. Maybe too honest. Maybe I've said things that will make you uncomfortable working here. Make you look at me differently. Make you question whether you want to be part of this organization at all. That's okay. That's appropriate. You should question it. Should think hard about whether this is really what you want. Should consider alternatives. Should explore other paths. Because once you're in too deep, once you've crossed certain lines and made certain commitments and developed certain reputations, getting out becomes difficult. Not impossible. Marcus did it. Others have done it. But difficult. Expensive. Risky. Better to decide early. Better to choose your path with open eyes before you're too committed to change course. The city's fully alive now. Look at it. Traffic's building. People are going to work. The coffee shops are full. The trains are running. The whole complex machine of urban life is operating. All those people pursuing their goals. Following their paths. Making their choices. Most of them will never know this conversation happened. Will never know you and I sat here all night talking about power and loneliness and the cost of survival. They'll live their whole lives without knowing this world exists. This underworld. This shadow economy. This organization that touches their lives in ways they can't see or imagine. That's probably for the best. Ignorance is protective. Knowledge creates obligation. Once you know how things really work, once you understand the machinery behind the facade, you can't unknow it. Can't go back to innocent participation. You're complicit now. Where? responsible in a way you weren't before. That's heavy. That's a burden. That's something to consider before you decide to go deeper into this world. I'm giving you information. I'm giving you perspective. I'm giving you the truth as I understand it. What you do with that information is up to you. You can take it and leave. Find another job. Build a different life. Forget this night ever happened. Or you can take it and stay. Learn more. Go deeper. Develop your skills and rise through the organization. Eventually, maybe sit in this chair. Make these decisions. Carry this weight. Both options are valid. Both have merit. Both lead somewhere. I can't tell you which is right. Can't make that choice for you. Can only lay out what I know and let you decide. That's all mentorship really is. Information transfer. Perspective sharing. The older generation trying to help the younger generation avoid some mistakes while acknowledging they'll make their own mistakes regardless. Because they have to. Because that's how learning works. Through experience. Through error. Through consequence. I made so many mistakes. God, so many. Some I've mentioned tonight. Danny Reeves. The wars I participated in. The relationships I sacrificed. But there are others. Hundreds of others. Small mistakes and large ones. Errors of judgment and errors of character. Times I trusted the wrong people. Times I didn't trust the right people. Times I acted when I should have waited. Times I waited when I should have acted. All of it adding up over the years into this complicated legacy I'm trying to make sense of. And you know what the strangest thing is? I'm not sure I'd change most of it even if I could. Even knowing what I know now. Even seeing the costs clearly. Because changing those mistakes would mean changing who I became. And despite everything, despite the loneliness and the regrets and the weight of it all, I'm not sure I'd want to be someone else. This is who I am. This is the person those choices created. Flawed and tired and more than a little broken. But mine. Authentically mine. The result of my choices, no one else's. That's worth something. That authenticity. That ownership. Even when what you own is ugly or painful or regrettable. It's yours. You made it. You lived it. You survived it. That creates a kind of integrity. A kind of coherence. You're not living someone else's life or following someone else's script. You're living your own. For better or worse. In success and failure. In wisdom and folly. It's yours. I want that for you. Not this particular life. Not these particular choices. But that ownership. That authenticity. That sense that you're living your own story, not a story someone else wrote for you. Whether that story happens in this organization or somewhere else, in this city or another one, in this world or the straight world, doesn't matter. What matters is that it's yours. That you choose it. That you own it. All of it. The good and the bad. The successes and the failures. The joy and the pain. Choose consciously. That's my real advice. Not the tactical stuff about loyalty and respect. Not the warnings about cost and consequences. Just this, choose consciously. Know what you're choosing. Understand the implications. Accept the responsibilities. Don't drift into a life. Don't let circumstances choose for you. Don't wake up 20 years from now wondering how you got where you are. Choose. Actively. Deliberately. With full awareness of what you're doing. I didn't always do that. Some of my choices were conscious and deliberate. But many weren't. Many were reactions. Responses to circumstances. Path of least resistance decisions that seemed obvious at the time but weren't actually choices so much as defaults. The currents of life carrying me along. And some of those defaults turned out fine. But some didn't. Some led places I wouldn't have chosen if I'd been paying more attention, if I'd been more conscious, more intentional. So learn from that. Be more awake than I was, more present, more aware of the moments when you're choosing. Because most of life is made up of small choices that don't seem important at the time. Do I take this job or that job? Do I go to this meeting or skip it? Do I trust this person or stay guarded? Do I speak up or stay quiet? Tiny decisions, insignificant seeming, but they accumulate, they compound. They steer your life in directions you might not intend. Until one day you look around and realize you're somewhere you never meant to go. Pay attention. That's all. Just pay attention to yourself, to your choices, to where you're going and why. Don't let life happen to you. Make life happen. Actively, consciously, with intention and awareness. That's the only way to avoid waking up one day filled with regret about paths not taken and choices not made. That's the only way to ensure that the life you live is actually the life you wanted. Or at least the life you chose, which might not be wanted but is at least owned. The coffee's cooling. I should pour us both a cup before it gets cold. Good coffee shouldn't be wasted. Here. Take this. Careful, it's still hot enough to burn if you're not careful. Blow on it first. There you go. Now sip. Slow. Let it wake you up gradually. There's no rush. The organization will function fine without us for another hour. The problems that exist now will still exist later. The opportunities won't vanish. We can take this time, this moment, this transition from night to day, from confession to normal interaction, from vulnerability to professionalism. This coffee's good, really good, smooth and rich and complex. You can taste the care that went into it, the attention to detail. Someone planted these beans. Someone cultivated the trees. Someone harvested the cherries at exactly the right moment. Someone processed them properly. Someone roasted them with precision. Someone ground them correctly and brewed them at the right temperature. All that care and attention culminating in this cup. This moment. This small perfect thing. That's what I'm talking about. That attention. That consciousness. That care about getting things right. Apply that to your life. To your choices. To your relationships. To your work. Whatever you do, do it with that level of attention. That level of care. Don't half-ass it. Don't phone it in. Don't settle for good enough when excellent is possible. Demand excellence from yourself, not perfection. Perfection's impossible and pursuing it leads to paralysis. But excellence, doing things well, paying attention, caring about the outcome, that's achievable. That's worthwhile. I've demanded excellence from this organization, from the people who work for me, from the operations we run. That's why we've survived when others haven't. That's why we're still here when other organizations have collapsed or been absorbed or destroyed. Because we pay attention. We care about details. We do things right even when doing them wrong would be easier or faster or more profitable in the short term. We play the long game. We build for sustainability. We create systems that work. That's what I'm proud of. Not the power or the money or the reputation, but the quality, the craftsmanship, the fact that what we've built works, reliably, efficiently, year after year. That's an achievement. That's something real. That's a contribution, even if it's a contribution to something morally ambiguous. Even if it's excellence in service of something society condemns. It's still excellence. It still matters. At least to me. You're more awake now. The coffee's doing its work. I can see clarity returning to your eyes. the fog of sleep lifting. You're processing, thinking, trying to make sense of this night, trying to figure out what it means, what I'm really saying, what I want from you. That's good. That's smart. You should be skeptical, should be wondering about my motives, should be questioning why I shared all this, what game I'm playing, what angle I'm working. The truth is I don't know. I don't have a master plan here. I'm not manipulating you towards some predetermined outcome. I just needed to talk, needed to confess, needed to share this burden with someone for a few hours. And you were here, and you listened, and something about you made me think you'd understand, or at least not judge, or at least give me the space to say what needed saying. So I talked, and you listened, and now here we are. Dawn. Coffee. The night over. Both of us changed by it probably. In small ways. In ways we might not understand for months or years. That's how influence works. Not through dramatic moments or profound revelations. Through small accumulations. Conversations that plant seeds. Ideas that germinate slowly. Perspectives that shift incrementally until one day you realize you see the world differently than you did before. You think differently. You value different things. You make different choices. And you might not even remember the specific conversation or moment that started the shift. You just know something changed. Something's different now. Something matters that didn't matter before. Or doesn't matter that did matter before. I hope this night matters to you. I hope something I said resonates, takes root, grows into something useful. Some insight or understanding or caution that serves you well in the years ahead. Not because I need to be important or remembered or influential, but because I'd like to think this mattered. That these hours weren't wasted. That the confession served a purpose beyond just relieving my own burden. That maybe I helped someone, even in this small way, even just by being honest about my experience, about the costs and the regrets and the weight of this life. Help is strange. We usually think of it in dramatic terms. Saving someone from danger, rescuing them from disaster. But most help is quieter than that, more subtle, just being present, listening without judgment. Sharing truth without agenda. Creating space for someone to think and feel and process. That's help too. Maybe the most important kind of help. The kind that respects autonomy. That doesn't impose. That doesn't demand gratitude or obedience or any particular response. Just offers something and lets the other person take what they need and leave the rest. That's what I'm offering. My experience, my perspective, my truth. Take what's useful, leave what isn't. No obligation, no debt, no expectation that you'll change your behavior or your choices or your path based on what I've said. Just information, context. One person's journey through this complicated world. Use it or don't. Remember it or forget it. It's yours now. Do with it what you will. The sun's higher now. Full morning. The transitional period is over. We're firmly in day now. In the world of action and decision and consequence. The contemplative space of night is closed. We have to function now. Have to operate. Have to be who we're supposed to be in our respective roles. That's fine. That's appropriate. Night has its place and day has its place and both are necessary. Both serve their purpose. But I'm glad we had the night. I'm glad the storm brought you here. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad I talked and you listened and this happened. Whatever this was. Whatever it becomes in memory and retrospect. I'm glad. That's rare for me. Gladness. Gratitude. Genuine positive feeling about something that happened. I don't feel that often anymore. So when I do, it's worth acknowledging, worth naming, worth expressing. Thank you for being here, for listening, for giving me this. Now let's get to work. Let's see what the day brings. Let's handle whatever problems need handling. Let's maintain this organization. Let's do our jobs with excellence, with attention, with care. Because that's what we do. That's who we are. That's the choice we've made, whether consciously or unconsciously. We're here. We're doing this. So let's do it well. But tonight, when the day's done and you're alone with your thoughts, think about what I've said. Think about your choices. Think about where you're going and why. Think about what you want your life to look like in 20 years, in 30 years, when you're my age. Think about whether this path leads there, whether these choices serve those goals, whether you're building towards something you actually want or just reacting to circumstances and ending up somewhere by default. Think consciously. Choose deliberately. Live intentionally. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm suggesting. Not that you choose this path or that path. Not that you stay here or leave. Just that you choose. Really choose. With awareness and intention and acceptance of responsibility for where those choices lead. Because that's living. That's being fully human. That's exercising the one real freedom we have. The freedom to choose our response to circumstances. The freedom to shape our lives through our decisions. The freedom to become who we decide to become. Use that freedom. Don't waste it. Don't surrender it to fear or convenience or habit. Don't let others choose for you. Don't drift. Don't default. Choose. What? With consciousness and courage and care. That's the best advice I can give you. That's the wisdom of my experience, such as it is. Not avoid this or pursue that. Just be awake. Be present. Be conscious. Be choosing. Always choosing. Until there are no more choices to make. Now finish your coffee. Pull yourself together. And let's go be who we need to be today. The boss and the employee. The organization and its members. The roles we play in this complicated machine. We'll play them well. With excellence. With attention. With care. Because that's what we do. That's who we've chosen to be. At least for today. At least for now. Until we choose differently. And maybe we never will. Maybe this is it. The path we've chosen. The life we'll live until it ends. That's okay too. As long as it's chosen. As long as it's conscious. As long as we own it. All of it. The good and the bad. The joy and the pain. The power and the loneliness. The success and the cost. All of it. Ours. Chosen. Live. That's enough. That's all anyone can ask for. A consciously lived life. Whatever that life looks like. Whatever choices it includes. As long as they're really choices. As long as they're really ours. That's enough. That's everything. That's the whole game. Now let's play. Let's live. Let's choose. Today and tomorrow and every day after until there are no more days. Let's do it well. With consciousness. With courage. With care. That's all. That's everything. That's enough.